Welcome to Tony Talks. Welcome to Tony Talks. Welcome to Tony Talks.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Antonio Moore coming to you from Tone Talks. Looking forward to having a great discussion today. We're going to be talking about something that's very serious that I think, particularly in the Black YouTube space, but generally speaking in Black community at large, we just haven't been talking about. We're going to talk about the shortages that have come out of the pandemic, the chip shortage that's going on with the cars, and the impact that has, given how we haven't really dealt with like Black wealth and the lack of Black wealth all too correctly. So what we've been doing is basically putting fingers on hoses with holes instead of replacing the hose because we don't have the wealth to replace the hose, or asking the question, why do we need a hose at all? Can't I just screw myself right into the reservoir of wealth, of water? Can we talk about it? But what America has done is moved on. Towards the end of the show, I'm going to bring about some articles out of Market Watch where white folk ask Market Watch for advice on wealth things, on wealth issues that white families are going through that make what we're doing not make any sense. Can we talk today? Everybody in here. So we got ADOS in the Bay Area. We got Black folks all across the country. We got Americans all across the country. We got Oklahoma in here. We got Florida. We got the Midwest. Shout out to the ADOS Foundation and the conference. Doing well, I heard. Just talked to Yvette. She's back home resting. So we're going to have this discussion in the context of articles. We talk about it all the time. But before we do that, please subscribe, press the bell, press the notification. You have to do those things. Share the video with your family, with your friends. Share it on your Facebook, on your YouTube. Part of the reason that you don't have great Black politics is that we haven't had great Black distribution of channels like this one, discussions like this, because it's too difficult. It's a lot easier to talk about Chris Brown shoe collection. It's a lot easier to talk about all kind of nonsense of the BET Awards and what they had on at the Met Gala. What we're talking about today is what actually is the fuel for you to be able to have a good Thanksgiving or a good Christmas, because they already talking about it. They say ain't gonna be no toys. Have y'all heard that ain't gonna be no toys? Shout out to you, Steve. Thanks so much for the support. Thank you so much for Rashid for the support. When I talk about people, I'm talking about people that are in this chat supporting this channel. Thank you so much to you guys, Rashid, Steve. Without you guys, I couldn't do this. I do this for myself, but I also do this to inform a generation, an era of Black folks that have been devoid of Black politics, giving powder puff solutions to a multi-generational oppression, and to talk about the consequence in the context of Black folks being left out of America. Can we talk? Thank you so much, man. And again, thank you to Steve Mayfield. Let me say this. I got this article. I'm gonna make it a little bigger. I'm gonna read some of it. America's bare shelves. Walmart and Costco limit toilet paper sales while toy companies warn parents their kids' Christmas gifts won't arrive in time thanks to a backlog at ports, rail yards, and on the roads here in Los Angeles at the San Pedro port. They saying that some of those ships are gonna sit there for months. When I say shortage, I don't want to speak figuratively. I'm talking shortage. I told y'all last year, before you even had a context for it, get you some toilet paper, get you some water during the coronavirus. Here we are yet again, and for some of the same motivating factors, but in reality, some of the more long-term consequential disruptions to production, albeit less people working in the developing countries producing product, albeit some of the issues we have with shortages in silicone for chips that go into cars, that go into iPads, albeit whether we have issues with wood and lumber that come down from the north. What we're seeing is our lives are not the same. These are the consequences. We see this whole reality of shortages on the shelves, and they're warning us to get prepared. Part of that preparation might be to sit down with your kids and with your wife and with your husband and with your grandma and with your mama and say, Christmas is going to be a little different this year because we're not going to do gifts. We're going to do love. But another part of it is, do you have reserved water? are you, as a family of 3, buying toilet paper 4 packs at a time, 4 rolls at a time? That's not the America that we are in now, nor the America we're moving into. I'm a single person and I have 40 rolls, given the context of the moment. So if you can multiply that out, if it's 3 of y'all should have 90 rolls somewhere. Now, I'm just saying you might not have the money to put into toilet paper at $1 a roll, 90 rolls, $100 into toilet paper. But ask yourself the alternative if you run out. Can we talk today? Let me see what we got. People in this chat, they supporting. I got people in Phoenix. I'm in here, JT. Tell them. I'm gonna take calls early tonight because I need to get into this because a lot of people, they finding out for the first time that there's a shortage. Thank you, Donnell. Thank you, I am. Apologize if I pronounce your name wrong. Lorraine, thank you so much. For a lot of us, being adults, dealing with the lack of resource hasn't been answered with enough planning, and the result of what that planning shows us. Now, I'm not talking about you bought 3 rolls and you're going to tell people to only use a little toilet paper. I'm talking about how do we get the reserves that we need to survive this moment? So again, America's bare shelves. Supply chain problems that have been tormenting retailers for months are showing up in America's stores. Around the country, there are shortages of goods on shelves. Can we talk? There's shortages of goods on shelves. The issues aren't specific to any one type of good and are down to problems with shipping and distribution. Cargo ships can't get into overworked ports to drop off goods. There's a global shortage in truck drivers, which is stalling distribution of goods. The cost of shipping a single container from China to LA reached $20,000 a month, 4 times what it cost last October. Do you think they're not going to pass that down? Look at this chart. Look at what this chart says. It says Los Angeles, 63 ships are anchored off of LA and Long Beach ports with wait times up to 4 weeks. They got ships sitting off the ports with items on them, toys, all kind of maybe even food that can spoil, with wait times of a month. San Antonio, Texas, the major hub for southern Texas and the busiest international land gateway in the U.S. Chicago, Illinois, nation's largest railroad hub, where trains have been backed up 25 miles. The reality I've been telling you about for half a decade is upon us. Some of y'all, some of us, many of us won't have an ability to change this reality beyond preparing ourselves as best we can, and that starts with being informed and informing others, no matter if they want to hear it or not. Can we talk? I know a lot of people aren't going to want to hear this, but I'm telling you, if you didn't notice before the show, I ask you, where you been for the last 6 months? Because I've known for 6 months. And I argue I've been knowing for a lot longer than that. But America. So here we are with a shortage like we haven't seen before. They got shortages of water. There are fears that some of the, and again, this is an article that I'm sharing. Let me go back to the top. There are fears that some of the backed up ships at the port in LA will not be emptied until Black Friday. I think that's in November, right around Thanksgiving, right? The biggest retail day of the year and the start of the Christmas shopping season. There is no immediate end in sight. Biden has launched a White House supply chain task force, but businesses fear the problem stretch on for months. Stores across America have empty shelves thanks to a series of supply chain problems that are prolonging inflation and could stretch into the new year, with some retailers like Costco and Walmart limiting the amount of toilet paper in some stores. So they limited toilet paper. Out of stock. How many of y'all are prepared to need milk for your baby and get there and find out of stock? Need toilet tissue for your family and get there out of stock. Don't be running CVS to CVS. Y'all remember the lines last year? to get into Costco. Don't be in that line if you don't need to. I had 50 rolls this weekend. I didn't feel like getting up. Let me tell you. Can I get a praise up in here? I didn't feel like getting up. But I got up and went to Big Lots and got me 8 more rolls after reading this story. I need you to talk about it. So in these homes, some of y'all looking around, you got 6 rolls. 6 rolls of toilet paper, 12 people coming through that house. They don't all live there, but they all use that restroom. Stores across America have empty shelves thanks to a series of supply chain problems again. More than 60 cargo ships are waiting to dock in California, carrying hundreds of thousands of containers and may be stuck. And again, it literally says hundreds of thousands of containers and may be stuck for months in a traffic jam after arriving from China and Asia. Millions of dollars of American goods are still sitting in warehouses in China awaiting shipment. There are similar problems with homegrown goods that can't be transported quickly enough by truckers or freight trains. Some toy companies CEOs are telling parents to buy their Christmas gifts now to avoid disappointment. There's no immediate end in sight. Inflated COVID unemployment payments ended in September, which many hope would drive a surge in jobs, but the response has been sluggish at best. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell predicted last week that the issues will continue into the new year, meaning 2022, prolonging inflation and raising prices for American consumers. One of the biggest problems is the backlog at the biggest ports, LA and Long Beach. That's what I was just telling you about San Pedro, where dozens of ships are awaiting berth. The cost of shipping, come on, let's talk about it. Let me see if I can get a port picture of the port itself. The cost of shipping is reaching exorbitant heights as a result of the kinks in the normal functioning system. You don't think that they're gonna pass that down? You're gonna mess around and need you a refrigerator that got chips in it that there's a shortage of, or need you even a TV. Somebody could say you don't need a TV, sit up at home looking at a white wall with them babies running around. You'll mess around, need you one, and the price gonna be 30%, 40% more than it is. The cost of shipping is reaching exorbitant heights as a result of the kinks in the normally functioning system. Last month, the median average cost of shipping a metal container from China to the West soared tenfold, from $2,000 to a high of more than $20,000. And the cost of shipping from Europe to the north coast of America also soared. Walmart chartered a ship that normally transports grain to retrieve some of its goods from a backed up ship at the port. So they send in a smaller ship to the ship that can't get to the dock to grab some of the stuff off, just to try to get something in the stores. Home Depot has chartered its own ship filled with Halloween and Christmas decorations to San Diego, and Target, Costco's, and IKEA have also hired their own ships rather than use their ordinary couriers. On Friday, Walmart's executive vice president of supply chain operations, Joe Meggets, issued a press release on the ongoing challenges. He said the company had rerouted some inland shipments to avoid the clogged up railways, and that they were hiring thousands of more truckers to make land deliveries. Knowing the challenges the overall supply chain system is facing, and again, we're talking today, we're taking additional steps to navigate the hurdles and minimize disruption so we can deliver our customers this holiday season. We've worked with suppliers to source holiday merchandise earlier than usual and are finding ways to move these products inside our supply chain network as quickly as possible. Again, that's the executive vice president of supply chain operations for Walmart speaking. We're out here, we're doing the work. I think we got this caller back. I think he's ready to talk. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Tom, this is Bruce calling in from Pittsburgh. Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Bruce. Give us your take on what's going on with the shortages and everything else. This is a crazy moment, and I'm hoping that you can bring start the show off right.
Well, yeah, this thing is touching every area of life, actually. This shortage, because I'm a Sam's shopper. Not endorsing anything, but I go to Sam's, and I went this weekend. I did my once a week get there, you know, and I noticed the prices of everything had increased like at least 15 to 20%. I'm like, what's going on, you know? And I'm noticing the shortages on the shelves. And the one thing, you know, I do notice is cleaning products are starting to disappear from the shelves. You know, I mean, little simple things like scrubbing bubbles. That's what I like to use. you know, but you know, I can't find no scrubbing bubbles, man. It's crazy, you know. And it's just the simple things of life that we take for granted here in America, you know, are starting to be hard to find, and you are starting to see the shortage, you know. And it's not just food products. You know, I wanted to try to actually early in the year. I wanted to try to get a bathtub. I could not get a bathtub from anywhere, you know, and that was sad. I could not even get a bathtub, you know. A new tub is hard to find. So it's touching every area of our lives. The gas is up now, you know, just everything, man. You know, from food, gas, building supplies. Every area of our lives is being touched by this, you know. And
now let's back up, because you was about to hit it. I cut you off, but you was about to haves and have-nots. If Black Americans, middle family, without depreciating assets, cars and shirts and stuff like that, is only worth $1,500, how many of those families have $100 to pour into tissue to be in their house? And if you don't have enough money, if you don't have enough money for toilet tissue, do you have enough money for a family? Now, your family here. Your family is here. This is how wealth inequality shows up. This is not just a word, an idea. I was telling you needed reparations for you more than me. For you more than me. You got babies in the house. You done promised grandma that you're going to be there for her. And now what's happening is they done thrown a pandemic on your Uber hustle. You can't get no new car to Uber no more. And Uber needs you to have a new car. So the reality is, you got to, even if you have one, you got to run it out, but ain't no next one. We're going to talk about the chip shortages with the car. So what I'm proposing now is that we are past the point that we told you about in 2019. And they accelerated it with the pandemic. What is Black America going to do? What's your last take on it, caller? I'm going to go to the next caller. I'm going to get all of this in here.
As ADOS and as a Black people, you know, we are in deep trouble. Everything, we have to cut back on everything. You know, it's going to be a real crisis in the next year or two, you know, in America, for Black America, and we're going to really see the fallout. You know, it's going to be like Katrina. You know, you're going to see the fallout. You know, Black America is going to take the brunt of it. You know, we're going to see us, you know, exposed. As you say, the decadent veil will be pulled back, and we'll see, you know, how poor we really are and how much we really need as a people. And reparations will be the only thing that'll save us.
Caller, I'm gonna read something that's on the screen right now to you, right to your point, because that was the next article. This is from 2018, so it might be worse now, but even if it isn't worse, this is collapsed. This is a CNN article. Nearly one, and I've shown you guys this, so you shouldn't be surprised. You know it's in your family. Nearly 1 in 5 Black American households have a negative net worth. I told you that when you add the bottom half of Black America together, it's worth negative $200 billion. I told you that we have only $6 trillion while white America has 115. Come on, we've talked about that, right, caller? White America has 115. Obama and Trump. Let me just finish this point, and then I'm gonna come right to you. Obama and Trump gave this part of the line. While Obama told us we can't get reparations, he boosted white folks right along with Trump from 60 to 115 trillion dollars. It shows up now because what white people do, and we'll get into it with the Market Watch articles, is they don't live just on labor. They live on intra vivo, in-life gifts from grandmama, from great-grandmama, from mama. I don't care if they're 40. I don't care if they're 50. They still living on those transfers because that is how you buoy yourself during this kind of cost change. But when you only worth $1,500, your middle family, you can't buy no toilet tissue. Now, if you are the only Black family, it's two of y'all. Y'all save $500,000 for retirement. You're 53 years old. You're the best of your family. You don't have nothing towards retirement. $500,000 is not money. So y'all got $250,000 each for retirement, near retirement age. Nearly nothing when you look at it against white folks who are clear that you need $1.2, $1.3 million. but your family ain't got no toilet tissue. So now you become government and you got to give them toilet tissue. Let me read a little of this article. I'm going to let you say one last thing, then I'm going to let you go and get to the next caller. An estimated 19%, that is social collapse, of Black American families, roughly 3.5 million households. We know that there's 20 million households. They're not going to tell us. We know that that is a huge number of, come on, let's go, have a negative net worth because of the history of discriminatory policies from the government and private industries that has hindered their accumulation of wealth over time, according to a new McKinsey & Company study released Thursday. Just 8% of white households, you know, there's 83 million of them, just the little bottom section lives like that, of white households have a negative net worth today by comparison, according to the global management consulting firm's comprehensive report on the economic state of Black America. An additional 4.3 million, so 3.5 plus another 3.5 have negative net worth, and another 4.3 million have a net worth of less than $10,000. Caller, give me a take on this. How we gonna make it through?
The bottom line is, as you always say, the data don't lie, and the data is proving itself to be coming true. And all I can say is we better batten down the hatches, and we better make some readjustments in our lives, and quit acting like we got money, you know, and live the life we're supposed to be living, you know, and quit going out here buying these $100 plates and all the other stuff we be doing out here thinking we got money, you know, and live within our means and try to weather this storm. But there's definitely a storm on the horizon, and the clouds are breaking. so you know, I'm just gonna batten down my hatches and do what I need to do. But I want to appreciate you taking my call, Tone, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, caller.
Right,
thank you, caller. Thank you. Woo, that was a good start. 310-388-3499. We in here talking about the American shortages. We're talking about the reason why. Far too many of you going to find out tonight. If you're finding out that there's a chip shortage tonight, you need to watch 100 of my videos. If you find out there's a chip shortage tonight, you need to be really reevaluating what are you doing at night to evaluate how you protect and stabilize your family. Because going to work is one part of it, but building a communal network is another part. And obviously there's a failure if you don't know that this is all going on before this video. Let's talk. Can I talk about it? Because I know people get frustrated when I get at come to Jesus moment. Again, we know that white America now has 115 trillion. They probably passed that now, honestly. And Black America has 6. There's a 1-to-4 ratio in homes, 83 million to 20 million about. That means that we really should have like 25, 26 trillion. We have 6. But not only do we have 6, 40% of that 6 is pension. 40% of that 6 is pension. The top 10% of our homes have 90%. I'm sorry, the top 10% of our homes have 75% of that $6 trillion. Most of it is pension. It's just old Black people have it. When I say older, above 65, 70 timing, they just have all of our wealth locked up and they're not working age. Their kids are 40 and 50 years old. We have little to no liquid wealth, little to no corporate wealth, little to no business wealth, but we talk about corporations, business, and stocks all the time because nobody knew. Boyce ain't know this stuff. He ain't know. You can't know this and then tell people to go to a class. A lot of people didn't know. But I'm here to be the harbinger of truth. I'm here to tell you that only 5% of Black homes are worth more than $350,000 with their house. So grandmama in LA, her house, not even LA, grandmama house somewhere is worth $175,000. Her pension got another $40,000, and then she got $80,000 liquid or $72,000 liquid in her little stock she don't want to sell, and about 5 of it is cash, and she in the top 5%. But white folks out here talking about saving $150,000 for their grandchild to go to school. That ain't the money they ain't gonna give them. What the pandemic is about to expose is you don't have enough to support your family. What I ask you is what you're gonna do about it. Let me take another caller. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Am I on?
Yes, you are. Your name and where you calling from?
Oh
Hi, my name's Christian Mosley. I'm calling from North Carolina, specifically out of Fayetteville, North Carolina, 268 off stand up. Number one, Mr. Moore, I just wanted to say thank you for all that you're doing and what Mr. Yvette is doing. I'm 21 years old. I've been following your work since I was probably about 16. And I actually started my own podcast with some of the information you guys have been sharing. But one of the things that I wanted to share was actually a real life experience based on what you're talking about. When you're talking about not just income, but we're talking about wealth inequalities that our people have experienced that have been strategically put against us. Well, a real life experience for me is that my grandfather grew up in the Jim Crow South, more specifically down in the Florida Panhandle area. He was able to get out, put his siblings through college. He became a dentist, and he now currently lives in a mini mansion. My father kind of grew up around there. He went to Howard. That's where he met my mom. They lived pretty okay. And now I live, 2 generations removed from the mini mansion in a 1-bedroom apartment, working for $23 an hour. And it is something that was talked about, that you talked about a lot, is that downward mobility that we always have with wealth. And people are thinking that we're going to be able to get stocks or Forex your way to reparations and being able to get our people back to where we need to be, and not understanding, number one, how much we've already done this, through the Reconstruction era, through the Jim Crow era and the like. Every time we built something, it was always destroyed. And so one of the things that I even talked about on my own show was that 2020 was like the year of the black light. Just like how black light exposed bacteria.
Caller, let me jump in before you get your analogy. I don't mean to break it, just to break it.
Oh, yes, sir.
What's weird about this whole thing with stocks is the stupidity of it all. Like, when I say stupid, it's not stupid to go buy a stock. If we have 6 trillion, it's just weird because it feels to me, I'm going to be honest, as a person who's introduced a lot of this to the black psyche, not just on YouTube, almost nobody knew they was black, in terms of wealth. You can be dishonest or you can be honest. Nobody knew the metric. So you just use words like stock or equities or anything, but you don't have no metric to say how many black people had that. White folks have 115 trillion. We have 6. White folks have 115 trillion. We have 6. Let's talk about it. I want to zoom this out for myself so I can go through this with y'all. 40% of our 6 is in pensions, which means it's in the hands of old boomers. Old boomers meaning people that are 70, late 60s, their kids are 40s, even 50 years old.
Yes, sir.
White America has 115 trillion, but 30 trillion corporate equities and mutual funds is inside of stocks, bonds, and the type. You go into a white home, they don't even talk about it. Black folks have 6, only 370 billion to be exact, more exact. This comes out of the Federal Reserve. I've emailed the Federal Reserve to find out even more information about this chart. And we got to hear about it from a bunch of black folks. They ain't never seen a corporate equity or a mutual fund, because that is the escape hatch to not deal with the fact that you ain't got no toilet tissue. So you ain't got no toilet tissue rolls in the closet, but you about to teach me about stocks and bonds. Again, I come back. I can only use this chart to explain it. Private business. White America, of their 115 trillion, have $11 trillion in private business. We have 270 billion, but every household be hearing about how your kid ain't gonna have to need college because he gonna what? He gonna start a business instead. What I come back to is we live in an America that is set by this ruler of this blue line. Not because they white, but because they got all the money, because they grabbed it all through policy. From the policy that made us a slave to the policy that put us in prisons. Now, we don't understand how that reflects itself in the prices that are about to be set by this shortage, and how white folks are going to weather it just fine, no matter if they complain or not. And also the price of school. Let me read this to you, and then I want you to speak to whatever makes you feel or think about. The top 10 U.S. colleges will cost you at least $55,000 a year in tuition. September 2021. U.S. World News and Report released its 2022 best colleges list, and the top schools are not cheap. A top-tier education is going to cost you top dollar. That's according to U.S. News and World Report latest college rankings. The 37th annual list of best colleges evaluated more than 14,000 colleges and universities across the U.S. using 17 measures of academic quality. Taking the number one spot for best national university is Princeton, with Columbia University, Harvard, and the Massachusetts MIT tying for number 2. Yale rounds out the top 5. Besides being riddled with Ivy League schools, something else that the top 10 colleges have in common is the price tag of at least $55,000 a year. Of at least $55,000 a year. A lot of y'all got 12 and 14-year-olds right in front of you and don't have a dollar in the college savings account for talking about college. Now, I'm not talking about whether that's wrong, right, or the other. I'm just talking about what you're competing against. What you're competing against is the consequence of Barack Obama, Trump, Bush, Clinton booing and creating a white wealth class like we've never, a monster. And that's how you live now with that family that you already done signed up for. You know how you sign up for a car, you sign up for a student loan, or you signed up for this family, but the way you pay for it is this. 2018 could be grandparents' year to pump $150,000 into a 529 plan. I got the article to read it off to you, just to make it clear. I'm not speaking figuratively. This is what high-end, top 20% white Americans that want to send their kid to UCLA are doing. Recent tax reform has opened up a whole new way for millions of American families to pay their child's tuition from kindergarten through 12th grade at private school, including religious schools. Beginning in 2018, the new law allows parents to take up to $10,000 per child from child's 529 college savings plan to pay their K-12 tuition. That could come in handy considering that the average cost of private high school is over $14,000. It tops $30,000. So how can parents and others who set up 529 plans, such as grandparents and family and friends, take advantage? What I say to you, caller, is it's great that granddaddy had the mini mansion, but was he willing to sell it to make your life better? Split the house up and give us both houses. But go ahead, give us your take on everything.
No, that's so you actually gave all of the data to kind of go exactly along with what I wanted to share with the audience. I came up with this term for the year 2020 called the Year of the Black Light. Most people know that a black light is either used to expose germs or dirty surfaces or even forensic evidence. And I say that because the year 2020 was really the black light for ADOS. We got to see so much exposing of how the system works, what the effects of slavery and Jim Crow were for us, modern and previous. And then on top of that, something that I've been trying to communicate to my audience on my own show. I grew up in a relatively conservative environment, North Carolina. I was also a homeschool student as well. So for those of you all that do know, that's an extremely right-wing environment. But one of the things that I've learned, because I've always had objective American history taught to me, is that both parties have played a hand in jacking our wealth from the get-go. So if you're talking about Rutherford B. Hayes as a Republican, formerly a part of the Free Soil Party that ended Reconstruction in 1877. If you want to talk about how Ronald Reagan started a drug war before there was even a major drug issue in the United States. You want to talk about how Barack Obama colluded with basically bailing out the banks before the American people, specifically his people. So with all of that being put together, we got to understand that, I was full-heartedly with you and Yvette when you said to vote down ballot. Personally, I'm a registered independent, but voting Democratic down ballot in terms of just kind of pulling the reins of a political party that we already have so much control of. I thought that was brilliant. I thought that was a huge power move, and we made the entire country have a conversation about reparations that only Donald Trump was willing to make a tweet about only 3 years ago. So to kind of just leave off the bit, and I don't want to take up too much more of your audience's time, but I would say that, number one, we definitely got to keep moving in the direction that we're going. Don't lose the momentum. Encourage one another. Stand up for one another. Start using this time to start getting read up. I have probably received for political education in the past in the 26 and the 910.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll leave it there.
Thanks, man. That was a great call. Great call. Thank you, man. Some people in the chat, let me go back. I want to make sure I get it because I seen him say it. Where he said it. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, here we go. Screw college, learn a trade. I don't think we really understand this ain't 1953. Black people have learned trades and been locked out of industries because of a lack of black politics and an entire lack of black wealth. Screw college and learn a trade sits on the top of doing black politics. And you need to ask your local NAACP, why is it that black contractors can't get the contracts where they ain't got to beg no white folk to use that trade? Trades ain't going to solve what we talking about right now. I think everybody wants to kind of jump around as if it's just the college, as if it's just this or that, when the reality is a systemic oppression that comes out of maybe because you didn't really get involved with no politics. So I guess you want to trade your way out of politics. We're going to do it. Oh, come on, man. Somebody just made another point. They automated the trades too. And don't get me wrong. I think we need a good plumber. I think we need a good a roofer. I think we need people with trades. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that is not solved what we're talking about during an era of mass inequality unseen. White America literally went from slavery to 1989, only got $25 trillion. From 89 to 2021, with a black president in office at one point, got to 115, almost 100 trillion more. And you talking about trades instead of dealing with what this means in terms of your life and what it's going to reflect in terms of the reality of your life being burdened with debt and being able to resolve it ain't your fault. And then being able to resolve maybe ain't going to be no Christmas gifts this year. But if there's not going to be no Christmas gifts this year, and it's because of this blue line, you need to make sure everybody in your life knows not to blame you by the fact that there's not no Christmas gifts this year. Too many of y'all carrying burdens. Too many of y'all out here carrying people's burdens. People walking through the door with Adolf's lineage and no lint in their pocket, making demands of you as a husband or a wife. Where we got, what we gonna do, when we gonna buy a bigger house. Where your daddy at with that money? Where your mama at with that money? Where your grandmama? Oh, you Adolf's like me? Sit down. 5% of African-American households have a net worth of more than $350,000. 5% of African-American households have a net worth of more than $350,000. In a world where white grandparents are saving $150,000 in 529 plans just for the kids' education, not for the house, not for the wedding, not for life. In the middle of an era where we have mass shortages, we have to begin to ask the question, how is it that we're here and how we going to survive? Caller, what's your name? Where are you going to call? Well, where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up, Tone? This is JP calling from the DMV area.
JP, let me read something to you. I watched this show with this white man and his son, and the white man let his son, I guess, do this whole thing off of his whole career of being a car salesman, and it's a cold show to watch, but I'm not pushing the show. But in the show, they inform you about cars and where it's going. I don't know if y'all been following, but there's a chip shortage and ain't no cars to sell. And it's basically a used car market, and the used cars is appreciating. It's a whole mutation going on where used cars are going up higher than new cars. White folks don't know what's going on. Dealers don't know what's going on. But outside of this is the moment where they're going to transform the car industry. The argument is that they're going to go to a more of a custom order kind of industry. All those rebates and incentives and everything, that was part of the marketing budget. So they had marketing dollars. So when they say marketing and advertising, you can spend it on a commercial, but they also spent it on the rebate to make you buy the car. They're getting rid of those slowly but surely. A lot of companies have we don't need it this year. And then when you walk in, if you ain't got no $750, $775, if you don't have $10,000 to put down, you're not coming out of here with no car. Ain't no negotiation. Now, what this man has argued, and I'm going to come right to you, caller, and I'm going to read this to you. Let me make sure it's big on the screen, because I know if it's not big, you can't see it sometimes. I'm going to read this to you. He says, what this indicates to me is that average people, understand we're ADOS, I showed you the wealth level, so you understand where we're at with the idea of average people. We don't have average wealth. We have way below average wealth. What this indicates to me is that average people are going to find it harder and harder to ever get into a new car. So that new cars are going to be for a select few. Older pre-owned cars are going to become the norm for the vast majority. Caller, tell me what your take is on the whole show and that particularly.
Well, I had a take on that, but I just wanted to say beforehand, I'm actually the person who that tweet you retweeted yesterday about my life correlating with ADOS.
Okay.
In terms of since I found ADOS, in 2020, everything that you guys have been teaching is like literally coming to life, like before my eyes, and yeah, it's crazy. But in reference to what you were just talking about, I actually went with a friend, and she was trying to buy a new car or lease, and that was one of the things that we noticed was like the MSRP was just like exorbitantly high, and the salesperson was saying that the reason why these cars are a lot higher and that they can't negotiate with you is because of the shortage, and so they're having to basically charge people more.
Well, let's be clear what they're doing. Let's be clear. Hold on, because they love to tell you half the story half the time. They making you compete direct dollar for dollar with a white folk. So before it was a lot of cars. So if it's 10 cars and only 7 people walk in, you're the 7th person. It's 2 more cars. You can compete just against the market price. We gonna make it so it's 3 cars. You competing with white people who are 3 generations. You competing with a white person your age, their parent and their grandparent, and all the white oppression. So it's not expensive. You just not white. You not getting the stuff you supposed to get to be American and want the car you want and want the college you want. These transfers are imperative and required for what you talking about. So what you gonna do about it? Well, we told you do reparations, gave you the answer. You didn't show up. So I come back to it and we go to I got your tweet. Can I read your tweet before you give me your take on everything?
Oh yeah, you can read it. Yeah,
JP, from day one, since I discovered ADOS, everything that has been explained to us, let me make sure it's big, and it is. Let me make sure it's big. Everything that has been explained to us has correlated 100% with my life. No concept has been more real in my life than Tone Talk's equation for wealth. If it hadn't been already, current family is about to start kicking most of our A's. One, this was the equation, and you made me remember it. Lineage plus current family plus income equals wealth. So when I talk about lineage, I'm talking about lineal realities of all the way back to slavery, but more recently, your parents and your grandparents. When I talk about current family, I'm talking about your wife. I'm talking about your kids. I'm talking about what does that bring into your life? When white women marry white men, they are getting assets. That's why they be marrying. I'm going to read Market Watch to you in a second. I read a Market Watch where literally the article was about the wife felt before she get married and sign on the document, she wants to be promised that half of his gift from his mama is going to be hers. That's what she required for her time, for her time to be around. We don't even think about any of that because none of us have nothing. But then when it's time to break it all up, we talking like we thought about it. Then we got income. Middle black family make $45,000, $50,000. Family. Not one person, family. We got income and we don't understand we don't got no income because we never set it up where ADOS people have a better tax rate. Because you're not going to give us reparations. When we make $1, we only want to get taxed 15%. So even if you climb the ladder and you become one of the ADOS people to make 6 figures, the few percentile, I think it's 6-7%, I don't have it offhand, you got to pay 40% to tax. Then you got to pay another tax in student loans. Talk about it, because you ain't gonna make $100,000 most likely in this world without college education. Your parents didn't give you the 529 plan, so then you got student loans, which I consider a double tax. So you making $5,000 a month. Let's say you make $7,000 a month. They're gonna take $3,000 right off the top for the government. Then, and your medical and all that. Then you got to pay another $1,500 to student loans, double tax. Then you got to pay another tax. Your mama needs some money to get toilet paper because she didn't get none. That's a tax. Go ahead, caller. Give me your take on your tweet.
Yeah, it's so much like I don't even know where to start. But in terms of lineage, as I said in my tweet, my lineage, and because of ADOS, I actually went to my ancestry and found out that my family, my second great grandfather, was one of the people in the Red Summer book. And he was one of the wealthiest black farmers in his area, was running like 7 plows a year in 1919 and had 2 cars, and, had 2 of his sons lynched. They burned down 7 churches. My family had to scatter. So that's the lineage aspect. Current family right now is exactly what you said earlier. Like, we're having to become government. So, my mother, as I said in the tweet, has not recovered from the drug epidemic. She has not held a job, and she's going through like social services, and they're telling her she doesn't have enough points to qualify for Social Security. And so, small incidents, or incidents that would usually be small, for example, yesterday she broke her phone. And so now she needs somebody to help her get a new phone. And guess who she calls? She's calling me. And when money should be coming down the pipeline in terms of inheritance, money is going up to the generation that's about to leave out the door. And, I'm having to have uncomfortable conversations as a 31-year-old person with my parents, with my aunts, and asking them, what is your financial situation? Because nobody will volunteer that information. You have to go and ask them, and you got to make them, you got to force them to do it, because they will push back. And
Caller, let me jump in. One thing I would say is that we set up a mechanism where we can't even have a social judgment. So you, how old are you? 31? You said
31.
If you broke your phone and went to your mama house, who's on Social Security, and you said, "Mama, I need a new phone," she could come on this show and say, "I didn't get him a phone. He got to learn his lesson." Your mama break her phone. And she come to you, and money flow down. It don't flow up. I don't that's the way it is. I'm not talking about emergencies, but this is the America we've been born into. Your mama break her phone. There is no social space to deal with that as an irresponsibility that she didn't get to do, and nor to give her the consequence that you don't have no phone for about 6 months then, or I'm gonna give you the old phone that just called. You got to give her the best stuff because they set it up that way. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, and that's exactly, the situation. She was like, well, I'm going to go over here to T-Mobile, and if they say, I need more than $35, I'm going to give you a call, and it's just crazy. But, I do have another boomer in my life, which is my aunt, and they're the ones who benefited off of the timing. She, worked for a airline that went under, but was able to gain a pension, which she hasn't had to touch yet, because my uncle is a professor and administrator at a college for over 40 years, but their attachment and the warped mentality of, the church life that they're living has in many ways become a detriment, because you see a situation where my grandparents leave money, and now you see them donating money to the church that should be going to,
wait.
The savings.
Can we slow this down a little bit just to add it up? Because sometimes we don't connect.
Yeah, go for
we
it.
don't connect the knot it up. Your mama need money for her phone, and they donate to the church from grandmama money. Hold on, let me say it again. Your mama need money for the phone, and she calling you, and they donated money to the church from grandma money. I want to read something to you to give you context to why none of this makes sense. White folks are doing math. They doing hard equations. I post these Market Watch articles for a reason on my Twitter. because a lot of us have no context for how America is running. This isn't white America. This is the part of America that goes to college, buys homes, has retirement, and retires. This is the functional reality of how wealth is moving in this moment. White folks under the age of 50, they not playing with their parents. They not having no fight over showing me the document. They already know what's in the document of the money. They want the money now because of the pandemic, or because their grandbaby needed, or because, let me read to you. This tweet is about an article. We have no idea that America has entirely changed. In this era, money flows down no matter your age. Quote from the article: my daughter, 55, reprimanded me for not giving her $25 and said, you have more money than you know what to do with. I gave her child a $22,000 card. Let me show you what she's talking about. What she's talking about is this part of the line. Obama and Trump gave white America a government buoy through white retirement accounts. They created a retirement class of white folks that white people our age that went to college know exist. And what they're saying is, give me that money so I can be working age and have a working age family. That is what this article is about. Now, Market Watch might not understand that, but ADOS Tone Talks followers understand that, because we understand the numbers. This isn't just randomly walking through the door. This is a generational shift in how you pay for an American family. And government decided to do it this way. Government, instead of creating a New Deal type of policy under Barack Obama, decided to give all that money to white retirees. Black ones too, but primarily white ones, because it didn't come through the homes. It came through the retirement accounts. So what this woman is actually saying to her mama is, give me that money out of that account. I'm not waiting for you to die no more. Now, I'm not saying whether that's wrong or right. I'm just telling you this is the new norm, and that's how they're getting through the pandemic. Last week, my 55-year-old married daughter, her husband, 58, she got a husband too, called to express her anger that I had failed to send her a $25 gift certificate. They have a 401k account totaling over $750,000 and a home valued at $550,000. Their youngest daughter has a full ride academic and athletic scholarship for 5 years at a good university in Southwest. Her husband was let go from his company in 2019. They were in the process of relaunching his business in the fundraising sector, which relies on schools for businesses. Then the pandemic struck, and they were able to collect $1,000 a week in unemployment benefits, plus they receive a PPP loan of $15,000. Rather than borrow from their 401k, follow me. You still there, caller? Because I'm about to come to you.
I'm still here.
She vented and that I should have stepped in to help and should have known they were eating peanut butter and eggs to get by. I received an inheritance from my parents 5 years ago when I was 70. The grandmama got an inheritance. I was their caregiver and executor. And even though I have a sibling who did not help out at all. Since that time, I have given them, meaning her, $2,000 a year as gifts to my grandchildren in cash. I also gifted their youngest daughter a $22,000 car. My daughter told me, you have more money than you know what to do with. She has told me numerous times that my inheritance is their money. I had a trust drawn, naming my 2 children as the beneficiaries and my oldest daughter. I am very disturbed by our conversations. So while you giving your mama a phone, white America that is accessing the American dream is snatching money out of white people's bank accounts. And they doing it because government put the money there through policy. We live in this moment of a pandemic. I tried to tell y'all about reparations. We gonna move past that now. What you gonna do about these shortages? Because you ain't got enough toilet paper in your house to get through a few months. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, I just think it comes down to, people have to start cutting costs, have those conversations. My grandparents, my dad was telling me the other day that, like, in the 1940s, when my grandparents moved out of the rural South into Florida, a lot of them were having to come together, live together in, like, those public houses pull their resources together and help, each person get that down payment for a house and all that stuff. But right now, we're not even in that moment where we're able to do that. We just are in survival mode, and people have to understand that this ain't gonna work. Like what you were saying before, it's all about doing the collective politics. But unfortunately, that only comes around in cycles. And if you don't take advantage of the moment, that's it.
Caller,
let me say
this, man. I don't mean to cut you off because I want to get to a few more callers. I appreciate your tweet because I had forgot about the equation. I shared your tweet. I feel your pain. My mama had me at 16. My pops had me at 16. And man, I don't think black folks really understand what America costs. They just, I don't know if they really understand. And I'm talking about even the people listening right now, what's barreling down at them. And I'm talking about very, very soon. And the problem is that I done told y'all what's coming already. And it's like, it ain't my fault that it feel bad that it's coming. It's just coming. You can turn this off and not know. You can turn this on and know. But now what you going to do about it? Thank you so much, caller, for calling in. I hope you and your mama work it out. Woo! I know what it is. Can we get to it? Let me take another caller because I got a full queue. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from? Let me see. There we go. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from? How are you doing?
Yes, hi.
Let me read an article. Let me read an article to you. Another Market Watch. My brother and I inherited our mother's home, and I moved into it. Do I owe him anything? I have a long story, and I will try to make it as short. This is the article from Market Watch, but as informative as possible. My brother and I lost our mother in 2008. As part of the will, we were supposed to split everything 50-50. This included life insurance, a house, and some debt. So white folks splitting and breaking stuff up. Grown 60-year-old people. Since 2009, I have resided in the house, maintained it, took out a mortgage to cover an old second mortgage and paid taxes. So the house could not go into foreclosure. Caller, you have to, I don't know if there's something going on, so it doesn't make sound. I have done all this by myself with no help from my brother, physically, emotionally, or monetarily. There are many layers to this story, too numerous to get into. Boredom will set in after a while. My question is this: although my brother has essentially abandoned me in this house, that's how we're going to set it up. I'm a victim. I got this house that's half ours, half his, no matter what. And I'm going to set myself, should he get half? Now, in my view, what kind of question we asking, but I'm framing how white folks is living on white oppression from the 40s and 50s today, and that's how they are surviving, and how Obama, Trump, Clinton, Bush all created the environment where you can't afford the family that you already signed up for. Carla, what's your take on it?
Well, believe it or not, I went through a similar situation with my sister, and for the sake of our family and, her daughters and on, I just said, forget it. I'll just sign the paper. You can have it. Mind you, she did not do all the repairs on it.
That was half your house. Period. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was half of mine. My mother left it so that we split it. But excuse me. When it really got down to it, my sister ended up with it. I don't live in Chicago anymore, and I just said, look, I'm out of here. I'm not going to fight with you anymore, because we called the attorney into it. They would have got the house. Nobody in the family would have got it because of legal fees.
But this, I'm glad you called in for this one though. This Juanita.
Yeah.
I know this is Juanita from Atlanta. My only thing is that's what the person that basically bow out say to themselves. They say the attorneys would have got. No, your sister got it. She got the whole house because she basically stole your half that you were supposed to use to get through this pandemic. Period. And so like that's what's going on, and how Black America is surviving with somebody bowing out from what they need to survive. And I'm just gonna say that. What's your thoughts on the whole show though? I don't want to make it too personal. On the whole shortages and chip shortages and everything else.
We've been told on mainstream media that there's no need to hoard or stock up, or however you want to put it, and that we should just buy what we need so that there won't be a shortage. And to me, there's a disconnect in there, because if we have to just buy what we need so there won't be a shortage, that means there is a shortage.
Come on.
So, you know, I listened at this old movie with Jack Nicholson and Tom Cruise and Demi Moore, A Few Good Men, and at the end, Jack Nicholson said, "You cannot handle the truth. That's why you need me." And every time, excuse me, Jack Nicholson was the guy that was willing to do whatever for the sake of the country. So he was killing people and doing all kind of stuff. But we as Adolf act like we can't handle the truth. And the truth is we have no money. We in a pandemic. And a lot of us don't even have $100 to stack up on toilet paper.
But then talking about how our cousin can come stay with us. Understand the disconnect. You ain't got enough toilet tissue for your baby, and you telling your cousin they can come stay with us and saying to yourself that they're gonna be outside if they don't come stay in the house. You don't have the means. You don't got the toilet tissue for the house you got already. Can we talk? Any last thing you want to say to the audience? Go ahead.
Well, I just want to say that, you know, I understand, and this is just the way I feel, that Adolf, if we don't stand up now, if we don't weaponize our vote now, in 20 or 30 years, we will be a rarity on the landscape.
I agree.
It will truly be a survival of the fittest.
I agree. Y'all remember I talked about the coronavirus in February of 2020 after the first death, or right before the first death in America. I made it clear that and responsibly told you guys to prepare. This is before the vaccine and everything else. Water, toilets. Harvard came out, did a paper with the Shorenstein Center saying that me, Adolf, we never talked about the corona. It was in black media. Never talked about the coronavirus. If that's going to be the answer to black politics and y'all going to accept it, you ain't getting no black politics. Let me get to some more callers, boy. Thank you so much for calling. Woo, she be on fire. Thank you for your personal story too, because we you know, too often we don't really apply application of some of this stuff. I'm sharing these market watch stories because this brother ain't giving up. See, we gotta stop giving up. Let's saying we're gonna do it for the family. Well, for the family, sell it, and then we both take half for the family. That's just my thoughts on it. They got another one here from the moneyest. Typically, your bank does not alert the IRS if your deposit is less than $10,000 a month, but the limit might dip in the future, so they're going to lower that. Part of the reason they don't lower that is because how white people are getting through the pandemic, let's talk about it, is massive transfers, $3, $4, $10, $12,000 being sent to bank accounts intra-family, and the government has an honor system when it comes to those. You're just supposed to report it if it's. So they're gonna lower it. So you're gonna have to give it $2,000 at a time. We have no context for the reality of how white America that has $115 trillion is living. How a pandemic exposes the consequence of signing up for that full black family that you signed up for that I want you to have, but not having the $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 account to support them. They are likely doing this to monitor intra-family wealth transfers as much as anything else in 2021. That's what I said. And make it bigger so you can read. I think that's about as big. Come on. After the failures of Obama and Trump, when I talk about the failures, I'm talking about that line and giving white folks, taking them from $60 trillion between 2009 or so to $100 trillion by the time Trump leaves office, 115. After the failures of Obama and Trump, the American dream runs on your parents watching their own grandkids and also them giving you thousands of dollars so you can afford those kids. Don't take it from me. Take it from the government. That's why they did these 529 plans. So grandparents can pour this money in there because that is the new resolution to how you pay for elite kids, elite family, elite everything. Can we talk? I'm going to take one more caller. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from? You're the last caller of the night. You're the last caller of the night. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, Yolanda from Brooklyn, New York.
Give me your take on it, Yolanda.
You are telling the truth, even from my own family. it's like speaking to a brick wall. My mother had a house, so she still has a house. It's been 30 years. I know the house has been supposed to have been paid off. Every time I ask her, because she's almost 80, for all the information, because when she passes, the house will go to me and my brother. She somehow can't come up with the paperwork. My aunt said that she did some type of, I guess, some type of back money to get money for the house. And now my brother is living with her because he can't afford to pay his own rent. But he has 2 Mercedes, I guess, used, sitting up in the driveway. And I'm saying, this is ridiculous, but you're asking me to help you with money so you can get to the church. I really don't deal with these people because it's like speaking to a brick wall. When you're speaking to your people about what's happening, and then they go, oh, well, I went out to the store, and I see that it's, that the stores are empty. What's going on? But I've been talking to some of my family members for the whole year. I started the pandemic, and now I think for some of them it's sinking in. But I'm like, come on, what is wrong with you people? Don't you see the path that we're on? What's going on in the Black community? We need to unite, get reparations, and help one another. You know, that's my take.
Look, I got something on screen to tell you how the white people are doing it. They got a whole article. Are you inheriting a house or retirement account from a loved one? Read this first. They're not going through this rigmarole where somebody who got barely a high school education don't want to show it to you because their youngest son was on drugs and stole the microwave. I didn't steal your microwave. That's the kind of nonsense. Well, last time I showed it to baby Joey, hold on. I went to Stanford. Hold on. I went to Howard. Show me the papers because I need the papers to support these grandbabies you like around on Thanksgiving. What I'm telling you is that this is a requirement now. Lineage, current family, income. I'm teaching a generation of Black folks, from the young man that called that was 16 years old when he started. He's now 21 years old. To older Black boomers about the reality of boomerhood and the reality of wealth in America. In all of it, I think we got to learn together and we got to grow together, because somehow they hid this from us. They hid the chart that showed us that white folks have all the wealth. Then they gave us a pandemic, and that pandemic is spurring around in all of our families. And the question becomes, back to your point, it's easy to kind of not talk about the fact that they don't want to talk about toilet paper and everything else when things are going smooth. What you going to do when they come to your door knocking for a roll? Caller, I appreciate you calling in. I love your testimonial. I'm going to let you go. Man, I love these callers. This was a great show. This is Tone Talks. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Please subscribe, donate, share. Use my Cash App. That's how we bring these shows and bring these channels. Please go to tonetalks.org to subscribe or donate. Share this video, because I don't think everybody understands. In this America, this post-pandemic America, this reality is coming on us really fast. And if you haven't prepared yourself mentally, it can really, really bring you down. Thank you.